Hello, everyone. Dave Robinson here. I'm the father of geologist Daniel Robinson here tonight to talk about the upcoming June 23rd. As you all know, Daniel went missing on June 23rd of 2021 while doing something he loved in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona. From a family standpoint, is a very tragic day for our family. As you know, we are natives of Columbia, South Carolina, where my son was born and raised. My family are natives of here, this city of Columbia, South Carolina. If I have any, again, technical issues, you guys, please understand. I've been having that for a while when I come on the lives. But yes, he went to the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, where he graduated with honors in the field of geology, something that he loved very dearly. In fact, that when he graduated from college, he went out to Arizona to Flagstaff to do a class. From there, he didn't want to come back home. He told me and his mother that he wanted to stay in Arizona. He fell in love with it. He landed his first job in life with a company called Matrix New World, Matrix Southwest Groundwater. They hired him on as an engineering company. Hired him on as a field geologist, also a hydrogeologist. He'd been out there doing something. If you can look at the desert terrain, you know that geologists would love to be in Arizona. He loved rocks. And I talked to other geologists when I was out there. They say, geologists, we love pretty rocks. They have a rock collection, things like that, because they know exactly where those rocks come from and things like that. So my son, again, working the job that he loved, went to various well sites. And many occasions, my son would call me in the nights or the day, whatever the time that he's working out in the middle of nowhere, in project sites where they have drilling companies come in to drill water, and his job is to do the science part of those things that he does. I talk to him often while he's on the job, talking to me while he's waiting on these drilling companies to do their job, and he had to say, "Dad, I can get off the phone for a minute and go do his job and get back on the phone," as he's sitting in his vehicle and talk to me. But this particular day on June 23rd of 2021, my son was assigned to two well sites. And the first well site he went to pretty much get laws, copies of laws, or things to check the equipment and things like that. From what I understand, just looking at Daniel's cell phone, he took a picture of the laws for reasons unknown. That's something that the first time that if you go through his phone, the only time that he did such, but definitely was signed to a second well site where he was to meet a person named Ken Elliott. He's a guy that works for a company called Weber Waterworks. It's a drilling company. To meet him out in the Sonoran Desert. Daniel have never been out there in the area, never met Ken before. But the story is that Daniel went to meet this one person out on the side of Sun Valley Parkway. That is a road outside of the Sonoran Desert. It's in the Sonoran Desert, but it's a road that runs through the Sonoran Desert. Called it used to be called the Road to Nowhere before they built a city called Surprise, and if you was to say like Buckeye, those in betweens, Festival, and some of those other areas. But it's called the Road to Nowhere. My son met him out there in the Sonoran Desert area on the side of the road. So from that point, the story is based on what Ken had to tell us all that we have to utilize because of the circumstances. Go with that narrative. And the narrative is that my son, according to Ken, met him on the shoulder of the road of Sun Valley Parkway in the entrance point. They talked for a brief second. He looked at my son's shoes, said the shoes untied or something. My son's born with one hand. You probably can see right here in the picture. He's born without his right hand, but his shoes wasn't fully tied. What Ken would say he noticed. But nevertheless, my son followed him into the Sonoran Desert. They drove 2 miles north. 1 mile north, 1 mile west. Excuse me, 1 mile west and 2 miles north to get to this well site area where they should have been working. According to Ken, they made it at 9 o'clock that morning, 9:15, 19 around 9:15. Ken said my son waved off to him, hopped into his vehicle, and drove off to never be seen again. Almost 30 days later, you see right here behind me, his vehicle was found further in the Sonoran Desert, lying on his passenger side. Everything on my son's body, allegedly, from his underwear down to his socks, was lying 3 feet away from the vehicle. You see the safety vest here. There was another foot and a half away from the jeans and everything that was turned inside out. But all his personal effects was on the scene: his wallet, keys, you name it, his work computer inside the vehicle. But my son was never found. I am coming today to talk a little bit about that. But again, I want to discuss the upcoming, as you all know, I have been doing for the last, since my son been missing. My first event was in Phoenix, Arizona, the first year that my son went missing. On the 23rd, I had a event down at the Capitol in Phoenix, Arizona, and a day of remembrance. If you guys remember, I had an event, in-person event, because I had the event because even through my pain, I had saw the purpose of trying to help everyone that I can. I've been fighting really hard. I know I've been working in the desert really hard with the volunteers. We out there in 118 degrees weather, and I will leave that desert. And again, you guys already know it's been 50 weeks of desert searches, 35,000 acres of land covered. I was able to recover 7 human remains, bringing closures for other families. I solved the case for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. But even with that, that's the stories that you all hear in the public, but the stories behind that scene as well. I have to give credit to all the volunteers who came with me in the city to do the city searches. And then when I created the flyer distribution program, who will go out there in the cities and put thousands of flyers on cars, passing them out. Some come and grab flyers to take in their own communities. These are the unheard stories behind the efforts to find my son. It was efforts to find my son. You hear the news, you hear about the desert searching, but again, you do not hear about the 40-some weeks of city searching, the 40-some weeks of flyer distribution. I would leave the desert hot and tired. I'd be like Superman, turning desert equipment to the rental locations. I had a hotel at one point, and then got a 1-bedroom apartment in Phoenix. Be like Superman, change my clothes, get in my car, and make sure I make it downtown to greet and meet the volunteers and those who grab those flyers in behind the Walgreens, if y'all remember, in Phoenix, and to be able to get those flyers out and work all the way till 9 o'clock at night. So the days were long, the hours were long, but it was needed. It was needed to make sure that we're doing everything, not just to find my son, but also to help other families along the way. I attended many searches. Families who was out there also because they were coming to our searches to help us try to find Daniel. So it was only natural for me to do everything I can to try to help other families. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but I'm gonna come back on the other end. I want to say thank you all for joining in with me on this live stream tonight, because it's very important to me, and I'm gonna tell you the reasons why. It's been hard last few days, and I can tell you this, you guys, and I'm going to break that down to you on the end of this break. I want to put in the introduction to Warriors of the Missing, because this is part of Warriors of the Missing, those who have been fighting with me from day one. You really need to hear this. You need to hear this, and where I'm feeling right now as a father who has been fighting really hard, who put myself on the front line, retired gentleman, who put myself on the front line, not just to find my son, but also to try to help as many families as I can. And some of the things I had to do to try to make sure that the lives of everyone is better, not just for missing Americans, but you will understand when I get back from the break, things that even matters to me here in my state. But again, I want y'all to really pay attention, because everything I have done since my son had been missing is all inclusive to everything. Nothing is separated, and I get it. We have a lot of polarization in this country. We have a lot of divisions. We have a lot of opinions. We have a lot of thoughts. All that stuff is out there. But we have to always remember, when we was out in that desert together, and the many of you listening to me right now was out there with me, nobody care about what race you are. Nobody care about your religion. Nobody care about your political ideologies. We are all looking for this one person right here, Daniel Robinson, my son. And I was really, really happy to see people that came out to help me, and I didn't know who you are. I was a stranger to you, but you have spent your gas money, your time, your efforts to come out there with me, and that really touched my heart, because the father and the family could not have made it this long without people like you joining me. So again, when I come back from the break, I will break this down, reason why I'm making this live really quick, and then I'm gonna jump off. I always say that, you all know, if you know the history, I always say I want to jump off, but I end up on here for 2 hours. I'm gonna try not to, because I have a debate coming up tomorrow that I'm prepping for, and I'll explain that as well. So hold on after this break, and I'll be right back. Thank you. When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here.
When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello again, everyone. Dave Rosser here, father of geologist Daniel Robinson. But I also have to tell you, I am also a candidate for U.S. Congress. I'm back. I just wanted to take a quick break because this is a hard time for any family who have missed a loved one. As you all know, for the last almost 5 years, will be on the 23rd of this month that my son had been missing. I try my best not to make anything about me, because it's never about me. It's never about anything that I do. I often like to say, a lot of people say, hey, here's a father who left his, I remember when I first went out to Arizona, they had this news articles that say a father drove over 2,000 miles to go search for his son. But I don't think that's a hero event, because I couldn't imagine any parent, father or mother, wouldn't do the same thing, especially in my circumstance when you wasn't really thinking clearly, when you could have jumped on an airplane or get there a lot faster, but you weren't thinking so clearly because you're devastated that your young child, your youngest boy, is missing. And so, but nevertheless, it started that way, made it out to Arizona. You all know the full story of that. And I'm trying to make sure for those who may not know the story, I may do a short Q&A after I have this discussion, because I'm really intending to really not do a long live, because again, like I said before the break, I have to do a debate on tomorrow, and I've been trying to prep for that debate, because I'm here tonight to talk about that. I'm here tonight to talk about the events, everything that happened when my son went missing. I decided to, for myself as a father, start my own investigation, because we already know that that law enforcement was not doing their part. Often in families' cases, you'll find that law enforcement are stagnant. They make their own impressions and their own opinions about how things should be approached. They'll tell you things like you got to wait 12 hours, like they told us. They'll tell us things that, we see this all the time. They're a grown person. They can leave if they want to without having any type of evidence. And those things often cause problems that we have now. It caused this right here, what you see right here behind me. Also, the first thing that we deal with is technology. We are living here in 2026. I remember, and this is going to probably tell you how old I am, but I remember when I was growing up, we would see faces on milk cartons. That's what we see while we're making our corn flakes or our frosted flakes and Fruit Loops or whatever you name it. We would see a face on a milk carton that says somebody was missing. Being a kid, you really don't take a whole lot into it, but like, oh my God, somebody's missing. And then you'll think it's one person, one child, or one adult is missing. And a lot of us right now do not know what's happening in our country unless it hits home. And that's exactly what happened to my family and I. It hit home. And when it hit home, it caused me to get into the reality of what's really happening in our country, to even learn about the statistics that we have to face when it's happening in our country. It's happening in our country on our noses, and we have so much polarization, we have so much anger, we have so much separation that these things are happening, and that's not a voice that's actually big enough to drown out the noise that we see every day in our news cycles of things that has caused us to have more division, more anger, more separation, and then we see our lives going through hell. Excuse my expression. So tonight, I'm not trying to get into any type of political thing, but I want to help everyone understand how I got into the political ring. If you remember, I did those 48 weeks of desert search, 50 weeks of desert searching. They ended up being 50 weeks since April the 12th of last year. April the 12th of 2025. It was 25. It was 20. Desert searches out there. 50 weeks. Excuse me. I'm getting all these numbers up. It was 50 weeks of desert searching out there as of April last year. If you all can remember on that search, April 12th, Gabby Tito's father, Joseph Petito, joined me in the search. That was a search where it was at the time I didn't realize that. I remember Joseph called me and say, "Hey, David, I've been wanting to go into search for a while. I wanted to come to the search, but it didn't dawn on me because of the news cycle that came in, because Mr. Petito was there. I really, as I was addressing the public, the volunteers, that it was the 50th week. 50 weeks of desert search. Can you imagine? And I'm telling you why it was so huge and so significant to me, because it's unheard of. It's unheard of to see after 50 weeks of desert searching, people come out in the way they did. Still came out to help me find my son, because people realize how big the Sonoran Desert is. How if you're not out there, I can tell you, if I can get some witnesses right here on the screen with me, they will tell you how intimidating the desert really is. You can stand in one spot where this vehicle is, and you can go in one turn less than 1 foot each direction, and you can go on forever, and it spreads out. So can you imagine trying to search that area by foot? We didn't have the equipment of law enforcement. We didn't have all the things we had. That's the reason why you saw the GoFundMe, and God blessed me with the money to be able to get equipment and things like that to keep volunteers safe. So we could talk about that some other time, but what I'm saying is the people was out there with me, and that's how we got to this point. Because I would not have been able to do 50 weeks of desert searching by myself. When I have found the 7 human remains, I get you guys what law enforcement try to. We already know Buckeye Police Department has always. They already got Chief Hall at the time got suspended, and one had to quit for falsifying documents, falsifying crime statistics. When you find 7 human remains out there for 7 families, those increase the crime statistic out there. Of course, they're naturally going to try to bust it down to 1 or 2. That's what they do. But the fact is, we did not. While I was out there, if you guys go to my son's the website that I have for my son right now today, you'll see something say submit info, and I can tell you, be careful what you put on there, because it goes straight to the Buckeye Police Department, because they're the one that told us that it was human remains. We did not guess on human remains, so we kept count, and it came up to 7 human remains. So that's how I came up with the number. Because again, if you got 2 femurs, we all got 2 femurs. You come with another one, that's a person and a half. You just keep on getting those numbers. So make a long story, I don't want to go that far deep into it, but we often know that we was out there working very hard in that desert, and that really encouraged me as a father to see people out there in 118 degrees with me in the Sonoran Desert searching by foot, by air. Some have their drones, some have their horses, some have their SUVs and all the kind of equipment to go out there with me in that desert. And I really appreciate each and every person that have done that, took their time to do that, because I couldn't have done that by myself. And what I'm saying is also I had to make sure tonight I include everyone who not just been in the search. Not everyone can come out to the search. A lot of people can come out to the cities. And many of you know, some of you also took some flyers while you was at the desert searches at the end. But there was also some that met me at downtown behind the Walgreens to gather some of those flyers. And before I even had the flyer distribution, as many of y'all was going with me to check the hospitals and the mental health wards and so on. I got to thank my A team. I have an A team that's still friends of mine today who helped me with paperwork, make sure I stay organized. I had my search coordinator and logistics coordinators and the people who worked in the staff of the desert, that with the team I put together to even do the searches. I had to thank them too. There's been some things that happened that we haven't been really close like we should be, but I want to thank them too, because we all did this together. It was impossible for David Robinson to do it by himself, and I really appreciate everyone who helped me. I can say for David Robinson, for me, I have gained something that I thought would never be possible. One thing I got is some type of strength. I remember the day of driving the road when Daniel first went missing. I left here from Columbia, South Carolina, and I was broken. When I say I was broken, you guys, I was broken. Being a military person, I used to sit in my favorite spot that Daniel right here knows exactly where I sit. My whole family knows where I sit to try to get rid of, to get over my war experience. I'm a combat engineer. I'm a gunner, a person who had to serve our country in all kinds of ways. I had an injury that caused me hell to recover from, and I finally recovered from it, and I thank God from it, because I am back to who I should be. But it was a long road, and I had to sit on my chair to really try to recondition myself into a civilian life, recondition myself to really understand where my life is going at this point. And then I get that phone call from my daughter that has changed everything. I was broken. I can tell you guys, I was broken. The only thing that kept me sane and kept me together is my military experience and my love for God and my faith. And I had to take myself that day and say, you know what? I have to treat my son's case like a mission. And that's what keeps me going with Daniel every single day, because I would not stop. I would not quit until I could get this mission done to find my son and bring him back home. That is point blank. But like I said, in the course of things, of course, you meet people. You understand their cases as well. They tell you about their stories. They tell you what's going on in their lives. And then you hear those statistics at the same time. What can a father do? I found it upon myself to say, you know what? We have to keep this grassroots movements going. I met great people like Derek and Natalie, founders of the Black and Missing Foundation. I'm going to say it real quick. I am not bringing in the foundations to some type of endorsement or anything with my political part of what I'm about to say tonight. So I want everybody to be clear on that. There's nothing that I'm bringing them into, because they have 501c3s protect. They have their livelihoods protect. And the same thing with the Daniel Robinson Foundation. We have foundations we have to protect. And I'm not bringing that in the political ring, but I'm just speaking about the people who really made an instrument in our life. Missing American Network and some of the others, the Mrs. Struggle, the ones who have been out there really helping to get the word out. Some of them have missing loved ones of their own, but they have built these foundations, try to help other families as well. And so what I'm saying is I have been out there pushing really hard, learning a whole lot while I was out there in Arizona. I started working with the senators in Arizona who came to me and said, hey, look, we can try to find ways to get these cell phone pings. Everyone knows that we are in 2026. At the time, it was in 2021, and we have cell phones. Everybody lived with their cell phones. And the issue that me and my family had, the first thing we asked for was cell phone pings. They couldn't provide that. Then we asked for any footage from traffic lights, seeing our son to prove that he actually went up to this desert. They said the cameras wasn't on. Then we had a Uconnect in this vehicle, almost like an OnStar system. And they first said, you know the information. They first said they're gonna try to get some information from that. Then they said, hey, it came up with 0 grids and all kind of things coming blank. And then they said somebody tampered with it, according to Uconnect, in order to disconnect the battery, those type things. But then they changed the whole story. That they just couldn't log into it. So we heard all kind of different stories. So what I'm saying is the family, we hit brick road after brick road. And the cell phone pings was one of the key things that we had left to try to get information. That was, to this day, I don't have the cell phone pings. And you read the report, they say, oh, we got this partial information. You get some partial stuff, but they don't. So make a long story, I was able to get into meetings with the senators in Arizona, with the telecommunication companies, to have a meeting about how I can get, or how they can create some legislation to make it easier to get these cell phone pings. Because as many may not know, you see the scene right here. Because if this would have been a law, let's pretend for a moment, if there was a police cruiser lying on the side, and right here, let me get my orientation right here was the police uniform and his safety vest, and he is nowhere to be found. Nobody on the planet green earth can tell me they would not have created this as a crime scene, and they would have not stopped to find this officer or his children until he was found. Nobody can tell me any different because I know it for a fact. But with Daniel case, they look at this scene and say no foul play, no foul play. And so when you have no foul play, you have no evidence of a crime to them, then there's no warrant from a judge. And that's an issue for me. That's an issue for me because as a parent, I could be, people say you're biased, they can say whatever. But even if you have a half a brain, you look at something is not right about the scene. And something's not right about the story from Ken when he said it was 9 o'clock, 9:15 left, but he made a phone call. He made a phone call to Ken at 9:28. And then he changed the story to 9:30. And then they're saying, oh, the vehicle's found at 10. So some things just don't add up. The timeline don't add up. Nothing adds up, ever adds up. But they'll say this is not a crime scene. So it's a problem for me as a father who had to go do my own investigation. I hired a private investigator, you guys, who gave it, to have all the information you hear. But many of y'all don't know I had 2 other private investigators that's helping me in my son's case that I do not make public. So I have been doing a lot. One person say, hey, Mr. Robinson, how are you able to do this investigation yourself? Because I did my own investigation myself alongside of my private eye. And so I got those information how to do it from another private investigator I was dealing with in another state who was giving me things I need to do and ask for and go see and things like that. So that's how I was able to do the things I was doing on the back end as well, to the point that I even was going to apply to be a PI myself. But the point is I'm making is this whole thing was a problem when it comes to the cell phone. Cell phone saying can't be done unless a law enforcement can say it is a crime that happened. And so that was a problem for me. When I was talking to the telecommunications company, everyone that you got in your hand right now had the same thing they were saying that day. Oh, they're hiding behind. I heard stories in the meeting where they say something like, well, if we give this information to a family or someone looking for their missing loved one, what if they really want trying to kill their spouse and we give them the information and they go find them and they murder them or something? We don't want to be responsible. Those I heard all kind of crazy stuff. You got scenarios. Scenarios don't even make sense what they're saying at the time. But that's what they do. Then you get around that part. Then they say, hey, look, well, we don't even have the information anymore. We have retention policies. We get rid of them in 30 days and all this kind of crazy stuff. And so what it did for me was make me sit in the midst of all this, out here in the desert, working really hard, doing the weekdays, doing all these interviews and things. You guys, what I've been doing daily lives. I was doing these lives right here with the same background here every morning, 2 times a day, every day, diligently, trying to get word out, trying to make awareness about missing Americans. I was exhausted and tired, but I still managed to spend my nights to tell everyone I can on social media, in the comment section, to tell them thank you. But in the meantime, teaching myself how to write a bill, because I am determined I'm going to get this cell phone ping information for my son. I am determined. But it wasn't just for Daniel, because I know what I'm doing for my son will also help other families along the way that I've been desperately trying to make awareness for. And so what I'm saying is, I wrote that bill. Because when I told the telecommunication companies, I have one right now. He don't work for AT&T any longer, and he called me, text me the other day saying he want to help me in my son's case. So he would tell you, if he could tell you, they told me that they don't have the retention part of it and everything. And so I went ahead and made the bill. To make a long story with that, I wrote the bill. And I told them what I'm saying. He could tell you that I was saying to them, I'm coming through your back door. Back door to me, meaning I'm going to run. That's when it dawned on me in my brain. The senators couldn't come with a solution. The telecommunication were resisting. Then don't worry, I'm going to help some policies changes. I'm going to help some legislation changes to make sure that no family have to go through this BS ever again, because it don't make sense when we have 600,000 Americans go missing every year. I'm going to do something about it. So I sat down and taught myself how to write something and do something. So I wrote the bill, and I knew right then I was going to run for U.S. Congress, and I did. It. It was for everyone that's following me right now. It's for every family that knows me. It's for everyone who's really right now that I know have 600,000, 3,000 people go missing every day, 2,000 children. 40% of all missed cases are people of color, though we make 14% of the population. Those things matter to me. And when I started to run for office, I mean, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Y'all often heard me before I decided to run for office. Heard me say, I'm fighting for my son. And it's kind of weird because Daniel is always tried his best to try to get me to move to Arizona. And that's always telling me and him, matter of fact, had even a disagreement one time about how many trees in Arizona versus in South Carolina. And I told him, look, man, I'm a tree person, first of all, but I'm definitely a water person. And he knows that. Arizona just don't have enough water for me. And so I laugh because I remember our conversation. But the thing is, I could easily go back because when I started losing funding and I couldn't stay in Arizona any longer, and I had to come back here, and I knew that law enforcement were really going to drag their foot once I'm out of Arizona. It was a loss to me, but I had to come back here because funding don't last forever, and I had to come back here. And when I knew that was going to happen, and I knew I was going to run for U.S. Congress. But the problem is that when you come back, law enforcement not going to do. Y'all guys know that every time I have things done, that anything that law enforcement did, they'll brag, say, "Oh, I did these searches," because I had to push them to do it. I had to threaten them to do it with protests and all kind of stuff. Get in their face when I'm in their office and talking to Sheriff Pazone and Chief Hall and Anderson and all the others. I can keep going, Mayor Woods and some of the other ones. But the point is being able to do all that kind of work. What I'm saying is I had to come back here, but the work wasn't done. I want everybody to understand that everything is all connected, because when I decided to run for U.S. Congress, I was putting myself at risk because I was hurt. I was broken. I was still broken. I knew I had to leave. And that was the hardest thing I had to do, to leave Arizona and leave my son behind. Because you guys remember the first thing y'all heard on the news, they say this father said he's not going to leave until he's find his son. And it felt like a broken promise, because I had to leave, because funding don't go forever. I'm just a retired military guy. That's it, And so what I'm saying is, I had to come back here, but I knew I had to do something. I had to do something. And so, like I said, when I finished writing that bill and got it together when I was back here in South Carolina, I filed. I remember the first day I went to an attorney that I know. His name is Attorney Williams. He was like a block away from the Democratic Party. And I know, and I'm saying this right now to everyone, and I'm saying this for a reason, because I first ran, and I told everyone who's following me right now, and I had many people say, "Oh, Mr. Robinson, you're such a great father, and you a great advocate," and things like that. And then when I ran for office and I said I'm a Democrat, then same people came on to say, "I thought you was a good father." See, that's how polarized we are, and how it don't even make sense when people say that. All of a sudden, I'm not a good father no more because of a political ideology, and we turned that into it. But I don't want to get into that part. But I decided to go run for office, because I said, you know what? I talked to Mr. Williams, Attorney Williams, and about a different thing, and he said, and I told him, "Hey, look, I'm getting ready to think about running for U.S. Congress, because I really want to get this bill that I created pushed, right? And I don't really trust that anybody's going to push it like I'm going to push it." And so he said, it's only customary. It's customary to go to the party and tell them you're going to run as a Democrat. And I'll say, okay, how do I do that? He said, oh, they're a block away from here. And so that's what I ended up doing, going a block away from his office and talk to the chair, who is the chair of the state party here in South Carolina, and told her that I was going to run for U.S. Congress. And so, to make a long story, to skip that part, I ran. In 2024 with Daniel Robinson law in my hand. Something that I know that will help everyone I have been fighting for the last now 5 years. Not just my son, but everyone, like literally everyone. It was in my hand. I didn't know it was all that great or anything. I just had it in my hand to take with me to Congress, and that would be one of the things I'm pushing. Mine is, you guys, and I want to say this for those who haven't been following me and who's in my state right now that's listening to me, because I do have a campaign, but also had in mind the fact that I live in my district all my life. Like I told you before, me and Daniel, my family, we are South Carolina natives. We are over 13 generation, this family being here in this state before it was even called South Carolina. So the point I'm making is I have an affinity for my state, the people here. I'm from here. I know my state. So I have issues that have always been bothering me, and everyone have that because we talk about that's why we're so polarized. Everyone has something that we don't like what these politicians are doing, and we're angry. We talk to the TV all the time, but we'll never do anything about it, but talk to each other about it and cuss at television and things like that. But because my son went missing, and because I had a bill in my hand that I want, it made me get up out of my couch in a sense and do something, do something more than I did when I was out in that desert, fighting for my son and doing doing all these lies for families, having them on. You guys know I had these events where I make sure I have families there to highlight their stories as well. It's not ever been a selfish thing for me and my family to make sure that we are highlighting and doing everything we can for other families too along the way. And so doing this kind of stuff, I knew when I was carrying that thing in my hand that I could win. I got 41% of the vote in 2024 against a then 24, I think it was a 24-year incumbent. His name is Joe Wilson. And so the thing was, and I'm telling you the great part about that, you guys, and I brag about it. I got a guy right now, he didn't win in the primary, but he told one of the constituents that why would this David Robinson put his loss, a 2024 loss on his campaign site? I had it at one time, and people say, why he put 41% when he lost that election? Because it was a big deal. It was a big deal to me. It was a big deal to my family. It was a big deal to Daniel. I took a big loss as a retired military guy, owing $71,000 in debt. After all said and done, I had to come back to South Carolina, but it was worth it for my son. I had lost all my retirement. I lost everything to be able to fight for my son. So for me to ever be able to run for U.S. Congress with less than $12,000 on a campaign, with only two people in my campaign, by law I had to have a treasurer and I had me. Then I got almost 89% of the vote in my primary, and then I got 41% against a incumbent in comparison to some other candidates that ran in our Congressional District 1 and one that ran before I did against Joe Wilson. 41% just like I did, but it had millions in their account. So that was God by himself, because God told me he's a majority by himself. I have the backing of you guys who have been watching and seeing everything I did, put my life on hold, stopped, did everything. You all heard me also tell you over and over again, I haven't been on a vacation, not one time since before COVID. We couldn't go nowhere. And then after COVID, my son went missing. And I'm still doing it to this day, never had a vacation. So that's the reason why I say it matters to me, because I put my sweat, blood, and tears to actually making a difference, actually do something. So it's getting up to the point where I'm coming up to tonight. And I want you all, and I'm talking to everyone who's been following me, who's been watching me, who's been praying for me, who's been on my corner for all these years. I almost gave up. I'm telling you this, guys. I ran this campaign that I have for 2026. We have party people that'll say they often have candidates that run one time and then quit. And, you guys have been watching me for the last 5 years. No, I don't quit on anything. I ain't quitting on my son, and I'm not quitting on you guys, and I'm not quitting on this campaign stuff, right? I just don't quit. That is me. If you see me in the street right now, you'll be like, I talked about this earlier. People say, this man putting out his own yard signs. He out there sweating. Yeah, first of all, I've been working since I was 7. I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'm a person who can work hard for everything. You see how we worked in that desert. What I'm saying is, my mom told me that, by the way. If you want anything, you got to work hard for it. You got to work with your hands and get it done. And I've been taking that model for my whole entire life. But what I'm saying is, it was hard when I lost in 2024 against the incumbent. It didn't stop me from keep trying. It was November the 5th of 2024. That was a presidential year. I lost that election, but I launched my campaign the next day. Didn't stop. Next day, I announced that I was still running, and I've been running since. Been out there putting out flyers. Been out making these. I'm trying to do both, you guys. I'm doing Daniel stuff, and then I do campaign stuff. So if you guys ask me like, why he kind of slowing down on the podcast that he do every day and every week, because it's hard. I didn't realize. I think the second time I ran, it was harder than the first time, because then as you start learning more about campaigning, you become more involved. So I was more involved. I had to learn how to be a more speaking type person, To some people say be more articulate. That's probably something I'll never get because I'm just me. I'm just a regular old person. But to be this way and that way, I can't. I just have to be me. So it took a long time for me to kind of adjust this political stuff and then at the same time be myself. And so it took a lot of time. So when I started to run again this time, I can tell you the hardest part was I went ran and I went uncontested in a while for the whole entire 2020, the rest of 2024, most of 2025 until the summer. We had one candidate say he's running for office as well for the same seat on the Democratic side. And then there was another jump in. And then here in January, a third jump in. So it's four of us total. Now, that was so much a problem. But the problem is, of course, we have a country that really needs people who really want to put itself on the fence on the line. I have never, and I say this before, I never take away from anybody running for office, anybody who said, because it's a hard job. I'm telling you guys, I learned this is very hard being a person who throw yourself in the ring because you open yourself up to so many things. People calling you names to you name it. I just can't articulate all that right now, but you go through a lot. And so I had to take that for my son again, and I had to take all of that for you know, all the people that's going missing and things I know. And also had to take it for the fact that God has grown me to a place, and I started looking at my life. You know, sometimes you go back and you look at all the things that you have been through in your life, being a single parent, working hard jobs, going to school and didn't get to do the career that you really wanted to do because you made the right decisions. And then you have to try to open up a business for yourself to provide for your family. And then, doing very well, decide to close the business so you can be patriotic, because you guys probably remember 9/11 when that happened. Everybody cared what happened. And so my civil duty at the time was to give duty. I still was serving the country in a sense. When I remember, for those who live in Columbia, South Carolina, you know what I'm talking about. I went to St. Andrews Road, a recruiter center over there, and I went to the recruiter, and this one recruiters don't tell you the truth. But this one recruiter, I'm a truck driver. I've been driving for 13 years. And he says, no, you don't want to go to Iraq as a truck driver. The convoys, them guys are dropping like flies. They're just replacing bodies. That's how you put it. I said, yes, I do. I want to go because we need people. And so nevertheless, he tried to talk me out of it, but I decided to go as an 88 Mike, which is a truck driver. And so I joined the U.S. Army, gave up my business, closed it down. It was a hard choice because I had to choose. And I'm telling you, some of the choices that helped me was the fact that I've been a single parent and you have children. And one of the things I thought about during time when I joined, though, was that healthcare was very hard to come by. So in my life, I know the importance of having healthcare, and you can't afford it. And the only way I could afford it for the children I have is to put my life on the line and make sure that, they are covered. Right. And I used to get mad at them, though, once I got in the military and found out now all of a sudden they don't go to the doctor. But the thing was, and Daniel, by the way, this young man, you ask his siblings, he never gets sick somehow. Daniel never gets sick. He's a strong person. And we all thought that was weird. Daniel don't get sick. He don't even catch colds. And so, but the thing is, just providing health care and putting yourself on the line for your country, I really understood that. So doing all of that, it was like my way of giving back to the country, serving our country. But unfortunately, you guys know, I was even about to join the Special Forces. And when I received an injury, and I'm not going to go into details about my injury, but my injury caused me to have to be retired out of service, retired honorably, retired. So I had to go through a real healing process. It took me a long process to get past the injuries that I had in the military. And many of my battle buddies who probably watching right now on Facebook, you know what was happening around the unit for me. You probably can know the conditions that was issued that I have being a gunner, getting hit by IEDs. We know the things that happen to our bodies. So the point is, I'm saying is that I had to go through that. And so you kind of look back at your life and say, okay, the things that I have been through, the stories, you wonder why this happened to me, but you still persevere. You're still a fighter. You still keep going. Then once I ran for U.S. Congress, and especially the second time, I started really understanding what it was for. With all that stuff that I have done, my lived experience, everything I've been experiencing all my life, what it really means now. And what it really means that I've been finding out is that a lot of times being around people who was in the desert with me, again, didn't care about your political ideologies, where your religion, where you're from. We're as family. You guys know we get in that safety briefing. I was like people like Rose and Tracy and I mean, I'm going. I don't want to miss somebody's name, so I'll stop right there because I'll miss somebody's name and say, "Why you call my name?" You know. So what I'm saying is, all of us out there is family, and Evan and all the rest of them. We all family. That's what we talked about, and nobody had any different thoughts about that. And so what I always thought when I was out there, especially when running for office, I say that was a good model what Americans can actually do when we come together and really, really care about what's happening. Because we got so accustomed to the polarization, we got accustomed to the separation and everything. Nobody want to work with each other and none of that kind of stuff. So I have found that I had something not just to fight for my son, but also to give back to the country. I found that out really quickly. It's something that I didn't know I even had myself. But then, like I said, coming up to this primary, I was worried. I was worried because I worked very hard, and then I had to say to myself, David, it's not about you. It's not about you, because whatever God has for you, He has for you. What if I don't win? I'm tell you, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I won the primary. Of course, I had got again. I'm telling you the ironicity to this. I got 41% in 2024 against the incumbent, like I said. Then this primary that we had, primary election, I got 41% with the other three candidates running for the seat because it split the vote. But by rule, you have to have 50 plus 1%. That means I had to have 51% to move on to the primary or the midterm election. But that didn't happen, even though the majority of the people voted for me to go into the midterm election. But by rule, the 41% mean that we had to go to what is called a runoff. And I remember that night when I was looking at the results, and somebody said they kept saying, people say, "Hey, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations." But that's not what I've been seeing in the numbers. And the one I was looking at, the numbers wasn't moving, so I didn't get the answer to that thing yet. So once I realized that, yes, okay, I had to go to this thing called a runoff, and it was against the second place person. And so I say, okay, well, this is what God wants. This is what we're going to have to do. But the part that really hurt me the most, guys, and I want you guys to really take this in really, really hard. I mean, just take this in, and you can understand my position, because when you win anything, the customary thing you do for people is say thank you. And that night when I realized I had 41%, though I could not advance because of this rule, I want to tell everyone who voted for me, like literally, thank you. And you guys know how I feel when I'm out there in the search. I want to shake everybody's hands as possible. I want to say thank you for even just voting for me. And so I was preparing because I already had one speech prepared. Then I had to kind of change some things because it's a runoff. And I don't even know what a runoff. I was even Googling what is a runoff. And so when I realized what a runoff, primary runoff is, I went to go Google it and find out what it is and what day it is and all this kind of stuff from our election commission. And that date said, let me go on the side. It was right here. Get my hand right. June 23rd, 2026. And what happened on June 23rd of 2021? My son went missing. And I'll be honest with you guys, it took everything in me not to break. I mean, like everything just hit me all at one time. I could not make a speech. I could not tell anybody thank you. I had shut down for the whole entire night. And I'll be honest with you guys, I felt like just throwing in the towel. Like, you know what? This is not for me. It's not for me. I have given everything I have for the last almost 5 years. Everything in me that I felt like, why? I don't know. My son is missing. I still don't have him. I've been fighting for him. I've been fighting for all these people that I don't know. But what encouraged me and got me back is that I started thinking about everybody who's been fighting for me too, who's been fighting for my son, who's been praying for us, who's been out in the desert, and that kept me say, you know what, David? No, God made that date. He gave you 41%, gave you a sign. You got 40% against Joe Wilson. And then this night, you go to a runoff. is on June 23rd. Your son went missing on June 23rd. That means no matter what, fight. Fight. You always been a fighter all your life. You don't quit on nothing. Don't quit on this. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, you guys, but it's not a quittal. So I want to say right now, I'll put this on tonight because I was really out there feeling a certain way. Coming up to, I have a debate tomorrow against a young man who running, like I said, made the second place with the rule. He get to have a second shot at me in a sense. I say I encourage anybody to run, and if God have it to be a different way, that's the way He wanted it. But the problem I have is I want to make sure that people understand when you're running for office and you're going to a service, it's never about you. It's not about your parties. It's not, when I say it's not about your parties, you guys, that's how I see it. We have our own ideas about life. We have our own preferences. We have our own brain, but it should never be about organizations. One of the issues that we have as United States citizens is that we take what we believe in. We have our own natural beliefs about certain things, and we have these parties. It's called Democrat and Republican, and they subscribe to things that we feel that sticks with some of our values. And I cannot say that every person can say in their whole hearts of hearts that they agree with every letter of anything. I mean, unless you're a robot, you don't agree with every letter of everything, but you stick with the thing that kind of sticks with you the most, what resonate with you the most as a person, as a human being with a choice. And so we all got divided in that way with our own political ideologies and thoughts in our brain. But overall, you guys know that when I approach service, it's not about my parties. It's not about some type of organization. I care about everyone because Daniel Robinson law do not include just Democrats or Republicans or anything like that. It's for everybody. And that's the way I approach everything in life, is to make sure that we're looking out for people, period. No matter what walks of life you is, you all care about me and I care about you out in the desert. So that's the way that I look at life. And that's what I see as service. It's not about looking good, saying these swelling words to people to make. I mean, we already see what happened to us. We have all these politicians up in Congress right now tell you all these great words. They look good. They speak all articulate, and they haven't done anything for you. I'm telling you, and I'm sick of it just like you are. And that's what caused me to run the way I'm running. And it's also a roadblock for us to have information to find people like my son. Those things matter. So again, I just want to come tonight to say that because like I said, I'm sitting here getting prepared for a debate. But I want you all to know that I'm about to forget what I need from you all. And a lot of people say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, how can I help you come up to this?" Some people like to say anniversary date, June 23rd. And it's weird because I'm going to back up a little bit. It's weird because I remember 3 months prior, I was sitting there because I try to, plan something ahead. You have to plan ahead. I had a brain fog. I could not come up with no new idea. I'm going to have an in-person event like I did last time, right down in our state capital here in South Carolina, or something virtual, how I'm going to get families together to tell their stories. I mean, I'm thinking all of that. And I couldn't get it together because I'm working really hard on this campaign. So I came to you guys. You probably remember, you look at this live and you look at the other lives I've done recently, and you'll see I came on to you guys and I asked you to please help me come up with an idea. And I want to apologize again to those I said on the last live. I seen your messages and I was going to reply to you, but then I got pulled away because I got these debates and all the stuff going on. So don't think I'm ignoring you. It is that's hard for me because again, I'm a one-man band. People already know when I say one-man band, I don't have a big team. I don't have a team of people walking with me to put flyers out or answer my calls. I don't even have a campaign manager. So the point is, I'm saying I am a campaign manager. And so the point is I'm making is, I've come up with an idea that I asking everybody to please help me with some type of idea. And people were coming up in the chats and emails and say, "Hey, look, I want to help you with this idea." And I was wondering why I couldn't come up with one. And there's a reason why, because on the 23rd. So tonight I was just thinking, I said, you know what? I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to not do anything for my son and all these missing Americans out there. I'm going to have a virtual, and that's why you look at the title, June 23rd, 2021, June 23rd, 2026, a date that hurts, but it matters. So I'm going to make this date on the 23rd a purpose Whether I win this election or not, I want to still do what I've always been doing. Is on that day, I'm gonna try to get a date, a time, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. I'm gonna make a flyer for it and everything. But what I want to do is have every family who's listening to me right now, if you have a missing loved one, to please hit me up. Please hit me up. And I'm gonna put information on the bottom for those who already know. You already got my information, but those who don't, I have the contact information right here on the bottom of the screen. So please, if you have a missing loved one and you want to highlight your loved one's story and you want to help me in my time of pain, and I'll be honest with you, the June 23rd is going to be a lot of pain for me. Win or lose, it's a lot of pain because it's going to mean a lot. A win for me, I'm doing it for my son. I'm doing it for all the missing Americans out there and the people in my state. Lose, I'm still going to fight for my son, for the missing Americans and the people in my state. I'm going to find a way to do that. And so the point is, I'm saying is, I need everyone to join me on June 23rd on a virtual event where I'm going to have, I'm come up with a name. You guys can put in the chats right now to help me come up with a name for it. That would help me because, like I said, it's a lot of my brain. But what I'm trying to do is have half of this event about to make sure we talk about and talk about missing Americans, highlight your cases, tell your story, show your story, give you opportunity to speak about your story and your loved one, but at the same time be a watch party. Because we normally, when you run a campaign, you have what they call as a watch party. And I know I won't have a watch party. All of y'all can come in person and join me, but let's do it the way we always do it. I did a lot of lives and I do a lot of things on the live stream to help families. And I hope you join me on my watch party for this campaign because this campaign means a lot. There's a lot online and it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me when it comes to my son and the missing Americans and then the people in my state who I know have not been represented the proper way. And it means a lot to me. So if you guys can help me with that emotionally, join it. I'm going to put the date on the screen. I'll send out the flyers and watch the social media platform. You'll see the flyer because I'll sit down after tomorrow. I'm going to go to the debate tomorrow, but after tomorrow, like Tuesday, I will actually make a flyer for it and give you the time. And I'll make the live stream here on StreamYard. The families who say they want to join me on the 23rd, I will give them information they need, how they can join in and tell their stories. They can give me all your pictures like we always do. I can highlight and place your loved ones' pictures on the screen, and we could talk about these stories. And all of you can help the family by sharing these stories on your platform, and we can come up with a hashtag so more people can actually look at it and get these loved one stories posted everywhere, and including Daniel's story. And then at the same time, hopefully this live stream will go on. I think the polls close at 7:00 p.m. And when the polls close 7:00 p.m., as we're doing our live stream, we can get the results of this campaign that I've been desperately fighting for almost 5 years. And again, you guys, we'll get results of that, and then we'll kind of move on from that point on everything. So again, no matter how this thing go down, you guys know I got your back. I'll talk to families. You know I got your back. We're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep pushing. And matter of fact, I'm gonna back up a little bit. That same law, when I took it to go to Congress, I wrote a version for South Carolina. I took it to a senator here. His name is Senator Odd. I met him in 2024 during the campaign, and I took it to him. He was impressed because I have wrote it. He was impressed, and he's sponsoring it. Of course, you can't sponsor it because he's the elected official. I'm not. So he's sponsoring it for me right now. Is in Judiciary Committee. I don't want to get stuck in Judiciary Committee. So after this campaign, regardless of whatever happened, I need each and every one of you also again to rally behind me, especially those who are here in South Carolina, rally behind me to get this legislation pushed, this bill pushed to make sure it become law here in South Carolina, because I do have a version for Arizona and I have another version for Louisiana because I have a friend down there who also want to see the Clear Act push here in South Carolina, which I'm going to push towards that as well, and have it a national thing too. And you all know the Clear Act, because Texas is already doing it. It's almost like the Amber Alert, the Silver Alert, all those kind of things. But somehow they skip people like my son and your loved ones who don't fit the criteria of having those alerts. And the system, the infrastructure is already there. So why not use it? So again, thank you, everyone. I'm going to look in the chat session one last time real quick. And if there's any questions or anything, I will handle that. I see you all on the Instagram side. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining in with me at this moment. It's been an hour. I thought I was going to do 30 minutes, but that just don't happen. I live in Santan Valley, Arizona, and if there's anything I can do to help, anything I can help with, please DM me, sir, and I will. And I thank you, Justin. I'm planning to, regardless of fact, I keep saying that people say, David, you just don't stop. I don't. You guys don't know I go to bed most time, and it's not a bragging thing. It's a sad thing. A lot of times I don't go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning, then I have to be back up at 7. So that is my life because I always got stuff to do. But what I'm saying is, I'll be back in Arizona, and some form of fashion I would be there to, because I have to, you guys. Buckeye Police Department not doing what they said they was going to do. And this vehicle, when I had this in my possession, the clothing that's on the scene, everything that was given to me, and evidence bag made for marked for safekeeping, I was housing, and that's the reason I'm saying I'm in so much debt because of that, you guys. I was housing this vehicle, and I was housing the clothing, the forensic stuff, for a long time in 2 different separate storage units. When I got back here to South Carolina, I was still paying bills in Arizona, and that's ridiculous. And so, what I'm saying is, once they got this stuff in custody, I'm going to start talking about it once I get past a little area where I can start having live streams again like I used to. I want to start showing you some things like footages from the body cam. What they charged me $500 something just for the information, but I'm going to show you information from footage that I have from the custody exchange with Buckeye Police Department. I even have I recorded myself talking to law enforcement to discuss the promises they gave me. I'm going to release those with you guys and show you how they, once they got those things in their custody, how they broke those promises. And the sad part of that is the trust factor that I really wanted. You guys know the bad deal I've got with the Buckeye Police Department. I'm very critical of them. But then when Detective Justin Adams took over, I didn't even know he took over. I just happened to make a phone call because I was wondering why they were so quiet. And they didn't even tell me they put a new detective on the case. The other one, he's gone. Detective Biffin is gone. And so I just happened to talk to Justin Adams, and he said he was really nice. He's new. And I'll be honest with you guys, I thought it was a reset with the Buckeye Police. Say, finally, in my mind, finally, I got law enforcement. The Buckeye Policeman, I'm telling you it again, I have a lot of law enforcement friends, even family, and they always keep telling me on my lives, please, David, be specific and say Buckeye Police Department, because I can tell you the Tempe Police Department, very good department, work with me. I forgot the name of it, but it's like the state police department. His name is Colonel Glover. He used to be the chief of TNP Police Department. Very good department. The Maricopa County, when Sheriff Bazone was there, he did some things. He helped me. One thing he didn't do, and I almost about to have a protest, but he helped me out a lot. He even gave me a rosary because he's a Catholic to keep with me. And he said he's praying. He's the only, to be honest with you, he's the only law enforcement officer who took me to the side and said, me and my wife is praying for you and your family. That meant a lot to me. But what I'm saying is we have a good one. So when I say law enforcement, I just literally talking about the Buckeye Police Department. So forgive me when I sound broad. But the Buckeye Police Department, I thought I was going to have a reset with Detective Adams. He gave me all these promises in our offices. And we had this custody exchange back to him, the only thing he'd done. And to this day, you guys, you heard on the police report, they say they swabbed the steel wheel and shifter. That's what I asked for in a meeting. And here it is in 2020. So that happened in 2021. This is 2026, and they haven't have anything comparison to find out who else was in that vehicle. The other part, they say they're going to do all that stuff again when they got the custody of the vehicle now. And the clothing you see on the scene, once they got custody of that, they did nothing. Only thing Detective Adams did is he sprayed the clothing that you see on the ground right here with some kind of chemical, like luminance or whatever they call the thing. He said he didn't use that because he used something else because he wanted to keep preserved DNA, though he say. But he said he sprayed it to see if any blood was on the clothing, and he found none. Right, and that's it. That's it. And so what I'm saying is, it's a failure. It's a failure because I'm stuck here in South Carolina fighting, and don't have the funding to be flying back and forth like I used to, and get there to Arizona and in their face and actually push the Buckeye Police Department down the road, almost like kicking the can down the road to get them to do stuff. So this is where we at with that when it comes to that. But anyway, if anybody have any questions real quick, I'm just gonna answer about one or two questions, then I'm gonna have to jump off. I'm tired. I have to prep for this debate. And when I say prep, I'm a person who's not a scripted person. And I hear people say, "Oh, you're a politician. You have to be scripted." I just can't be that way. I just have to be me. I speak from my heart, and it's hard for me. I can't look on a piece of paper or something and say I'm gonna read what somebody wrote or something. That is not me. So it's hard for me to actually do that. So the way I do things is I think about what I need to say from my heart. Whether it comes off good or not, I don't know. Whether people make criticism about it, I don't know. But the only thing it is, like I say, I'm just not. Again, I'm not just articulate and dressed with these nice suits and stuff and I can go on about that. I'm just regular old David. I'm regular old David who got tired enough for things that's going on, who's out here fighting for my son, who actually have a heart to care, who's a fighter, who just don't give up on nothing. All of that. That's just plain who I am. Okay, it's such a disappointment from the FBI from the FBI isn't doing anything to assist you on helping finding Daniel, and they have the technology to determine where Daniel went extracting data from his cell phone. And you're right. I went to you probably all can remember I had case. I had my attorney at the time. We asked Buckeye Police Department to bring in the FBI. Chief Hall at the time agreed that he is going to have the FBI come in to do a case briefing. And so my attorney immediately, at the same day, same hour, immediately sent a message back and say, well, we need to be a part of this. Meaning that if you don't want the attorney to be a part, she did add, then Mr. Robinson need to be there, right? He didn't respond to that message. And whenever they had this brief, because I was anxious, man. You guys know how I am. I want to be in law enforcement face all the time. And she was like, David, just calm down. Just give them a couple days to respond and all of this stuff. And I did that. But she wasn't right on that part because gave them a couple days to respond. Oh, they responded. The response was, oh, yeah, we had that. Okay, by the way, we had, and then he said it like it was a passing thought. Oh, by the way, we had the case briefing, and this is what y'all heard in the public. Y'all can go back and look at the tapes. And it's exactly how it was said. I might be a little off because it's been so many years now. He said, Detective Bibber said, the FBI came in, did a case briefing, and they said, you, Mr. Robinson, are doing such a great job. We don't need to come in. And, it was devastating. And I'm laughing because I remember that, like, I was frozen. I was frozen because to me, it means like, you, Mr. Robinson, are doing such a great job out there in that desert by yourself. We doing better than the FBI, And so I didn't believe it. I said, that can't be what the FBI would say. And the part was I was telling the public, I was all excited and waiting on them days to probably go do this case briefing. I did you probably see the videos too. I did a family press conference in the desert because I wanted to be around the volunteers who out there in the desert with me, my family, to do this case briefing. Because the last one was with my real family and the NAACP and some other people at the police department. And so I said, I need to be here with my family, the people who out there in that desert with me day in and day out and sweating and doing everything together. And so I'm telling everybody that there's coming in, everybody cheering and happy. Oh, we got the FBI finally come in, and it was a disappointment. And then so a friend of mine, his name is Larnell Farmer. He's still part of the A-Team, part of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. He's a friend. He's been there when I first went to the first meeting with the Buckeye Police Department. So trust me, when I say Larnell Farmer has your back, he has your back. And he still do that to this day. So I really appreciate him. But he was there. And to find out who, because he's former law enforcement, he's a law enforcement officer, former, and so he know how to work those channels, and he was able to find the agent who so-called did this case brief with the Buckeye Police Department, because he wanted to know what did the Buckeye Police Department tell him, because the facts is that everything you guys know about my son's case came from me. When I say it came from me, it came from all the information. Whether it was the bank account statement, when you guys heard about the gas purchases, and it came about the cell phone information to I mean, there's everything. I'm telling you guys, law enforcement didn't do they did zero. Well, Buckeye Police Department did zero. And so when I've hired my private investigator, y'all heard about the red transfer paint on the vehicle on the side that's on the ground. Y'all heard about the 11 additional miles. You heard about the damage don't mess terrain. You heard about, let me see if I can skid over this way. You heard about, oh, I wish I could move my head. Oh, there we go. Y'all heard about this orientation is kind of crazy, you guys. But you see the windshield, about the 2 impressions on the windshield to, like I said, the 4 to 6 initial cycles after the airbags deployed, the time of the day when the vehicle, I mean, I can go on and on and on. You guys, all the information that you heard about, everything came from my investigation, from my private investigators' work. And so Larnell wanted to find out what did they tell FBI to say, for the FBI to say, you, Mr. Robinson, doing such a great job on your own, we don't need to come in, right? So he found out who the agent was, and we call him and say, hey, Mr. Robinson want to have a meeting with you and XYZ. So he's, just like any person who really has people back, he was going with me. And I was really appreciate that him being a law enforcement officer, he can understand the lingo of what police talk about in case I missed something. And so we got there, we met each other in the parking lot. They knew it was coming, the time of day, all of that stuff, because that's how you do it when you go approach the FBI. Got there to the location right there, the Phoenix field officer, the same one that's working the Galtrey case right now that we're talking about right now, that came in and all this kind of stuff, right? And mind you, I'm gonna back up a little bit. In my son's case as well, Daniel had a ransom. Somebody, I had death threats searching for my son. I'm telling you what I had to go through out there in that desert. While I'm out there in the desert, you probably you'll look at the video, you'll see I have a sidearm and one of my legs sometimes on both. And then or you see me carry my AR. I did have an AR at times. And the reason why I did that in the search for my son out in the desert, because I didn't want to carry any kind of weapon, because I'm a military guy, like I said, trying to get over certain things in life. And my investigator recommended it because I had a death threat. I had death threats out there, and I've been surrounded by sometimes 200 volunteers at a time, and I don't know who is who. And I'm out there in the desert, and oftentimes I have to be out in certain places by myself, and I have to be protected. So that's why if you guys see them videos with CNN and all the stuff, and I got a sidearm and all that, excuse me, it's because of death threats. But I had death threats, and also I had ransom on Daniel. They had told me they'd broken his legs. They had him under this house. I mean, I had to go through all of the stuff that would mentally mess you up, right? And I went to the FBI. They did nothing. They did nothing in my son's case to this day. I went to that same field office, called them, and I said, look, I have death threats. I give them emails. The people found my emails. They say they're watching me. I even had them talking through my camera somehow on my computer. Say, hey, you need to put a shirt on and stuff like that. And so, I had problems. This stuff that the public really don't get to hear. But I had those problems. Went to the field. The only thing they did, called the FBI. Only thing they did say, oh, we're taking a report. They took a report. And then they told me they can't do anything because they're not invited by the Buckeye Police. Since you got a case with your son, you need to get the Buckeye Police Department to invite us in. Then we may be able to do something. So, okay, I asked the Buckeye Police Department. To this day, they have never, ever did anything about the death threats and the ransom that I had to go. And the only reason why I was able to get this ransom off, and I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing to this day, is because when I asked the perpetrators, whoever they are, show me, I had to go in, and I'm gonna tell you the hardest part for me and my investigator was to try to agree with these people to see how far we can get. They wanted me to meet them and all this kind of stuff to show me things. But the thing was, when I started asking for proof of life, that's when some of that stuff started going away. But the thing is, and I still have issues sometimes here and off and on today. But what I'm saying is, the FBI didn't do anything. So you asked about the field office. My Larnell would call them glorified police officers. They all know the Buckeye Police Department's friends, and and so we had a lot of thoughts and things. I don't say evidence because it's a circumstantial evidence we have that it was a cover up with the Buckeye Police Department of my son's disappearance, and I can tell you about that some other time. But the thing is, the FBI did not do the things that we see was happening that happened with the Gultry case, for instance. That same department, the same FBI. So when you say that, they wasn't coming in to help. And then I heard they was doing another case briefing, and they still didn't do anything in Dane's case to this day. And here's 2026. So that's the things that I fight against. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Also, I'm Zodiac Cancer. Thank you for your service. I really appreciate you. Also, June, thanks for being here. How I wish Daniel would be found. I have followed his story from the start, and thanks so much for being the support, your love and support. I really appreciate that, June. Also, PM Channel, there you go. Now I know you've been there from day one. I really appreciate you, PM Channel, for always being here. And I thought you was a moderator as well, but thank you so much for being here and always having my back too. I really appreciate you, Sanchez. Thanks so much for being here. Shout out from Arizona. Shout out to Arizona. Or from Arizona. Thanks so much, Sanchez. I really appreciate you. And yep, shout out to all the Arizonians that helped me in this fight out there in that Sonoran Desert. Also, Lola Rue. Thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate you coming on the YouTube side of things. And you're right, Sanchez. God is my leader, but He also wants you to rest. You sound like everybody around me. Yes. Your mind and your spirit. Hope for Daniel. Yes. He will. He'll give me that the opportunity to do so. And I really believe that, he will do that. But yes, you're right. I walk by faith and not by sight. And, you're right. I appreciate you. Okay. And we have here, Shay, thanks so much for being here. Please, dear Lord, bring Daniel home. Thanks so much for your prayers. I see you too, Jazzy, like on the Instagram side. I'm sorry for everybody on Instagram. I can't put you on the screen, but I can see you there in front of me. You say everything I learned about this case is from you. And that's true. And that's sad to say, being a family member, I had to put on a lot of hats. I had to be a dad. That's what I'm saying. That's what made me travel over those 2,000 miles to get to Arizona. I had to put on the investigative hat immediately when the first person, I'll be honest with you, when I got to Arizona, I got it. My auntie was calling and she said somehow she was getting convincing them to put the Phoenix Firebird in there to look for Daniel, something they should have did in the first place. My mission was, when I was getting there, I'll be honest with you guys, I had it in my mind and heart that I got there, I was going to find my son just like that, really quick. That was in my brain. At the same time, I wanted to go look at Ken in the eye. I'm telling you, and the first person I called was Daniel's job. I said, I need to talk to this Ken guy. Because things I heard from law enforcement detective, from Officer Cruz, Officer Cruz, and that didn't sound like Daniel. I'm like, man, some things don't sound right. So I had to, from a grown man, especially a single parent, a grown man to another grown man, I need to look this man in the eye. We had to be standing like this, and I got to look in this man's eye. I was determined for that one. Because I wanted to see, I just wanted to see him tell me what he told law enforcement. And because I know my son, if anybody have a lot of indication about Daniel's thinking, I do. I've been all his life growing up. He's a kid. And, I don't know everything. No parent know everything about a person. Because when we get older, we do some things that our parents don't approve of. But what I'm saying is I have a better indication than anybody about Daniel's thinking. So I had to look in this man's eye, and I really needed that. So that was the first thing I did. And it's ironically, because I'm sure I was standing in the same spot where Daniel missed. And I'll tell y'all about that story again, because this will make me go on to the two-hour thing when I first met Ken. And the suspicions around that he sent somebody else and all. Y'all heard that part. Some heavyset guy, and it wasn't Ken. I mean, it was a lot. And then he put his hand in his utility vehicle. I'm a military guy. We train to watch hands. And it was a lot. It's a lot. I'm not going to go in. I feel like I want to go into it, but I'm going to leave that because I'll keep going. Jazzy, thank you so much. It's good. It is all good. Praying always. Thank you, Stu. I really appreciate it. Jazzy Light. Thanks so much to Jazzy Light on the Instagram side. Don, thanks so much for being here. We need men like you in Congress. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I live very near the area where Daniel disappeared. I will continue to pray that he is found. Something is just not right about this. God sees you and he loves you and Daniel. And I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Don. Thank you. yeah, we will have the answers that we're looking for. Tracy, thanks so much for being here. Hello, everyone. And I wonder if the same Tracy I know that been in the desert with me. I'm not sure, but thanks so much, Tracy, for being here this evening. I truly appreciate you. Come from the YouTube side. Jim, thanks for coming to the Facebook side. Thanks for sharing. I truly appreciate that. Um, Love is power. Thank you so much, Shantaz, for being here again from the Facebook side of things. PM channel. Thank you again. I don't believe this is live. It's being recorded before, published as live. Always supporting David. It's live PM channel. So if anybody, and I hope it's coming out right, because I've been having a lot of technical issues, and I see comments on Instagram, but it's coming up 0. So I hope I didn't drop a feed or something. But this is a live feed. If you have any questions, anybody have a question, it's a live feed, and I do a lot of recordings recently, like I said, because I'm really busy, getting things going on at one time, and I try to do what I can. And then, like for instance, PM channel, you're right. Once I finish this video, I tend to repost it. So a lot of times people will get to watch it who didn't get to watch it on the live. So, all right. Tracy, thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Again, thanks so much for being here. And thank you again. And say God has your path. He does. And, faith is the action word. So you have to put action behind your faith. And that's what I had to keep on doing and keep on going forward. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I don't see any questions. So if y'all had any questions, and good night to you, Sanchez. I really appreciate Sanchez. Thanks so much for being here. But if anybody had any questions, I would have answered that. But I don't see any. I'm just trying to scroll down the comment section now. And I'm trying not to miss anybody who's been here. But thank you, everybody who's been here. Lindsay, thanks so much for your comment. Been fighting with you since 2021. Handing out flyers here in Chicago. Thank you so much. I will be online on the 23rd. Set up the calendar reminder. I'm rooting for you. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And those who like you, Lindsay, thanks so much for getting those flyers out there. Those who still need flyers and want to help me out that way, I do my website. I do everything. I'm a one-man band. That's the word I use around here. A one-man band. I run. I build things like working on the Daniel Robinson Foundation website. Please help find Daniel. I worked that whole thing, building that up. My campaign website. It's everything, video content, all that. Just do it all myself. And so I'm all over the place. And what happened is I started looking at some of the websites on Please Help Find Daniel for those who go on there. I just didn't have the time. I don't have anybody that can help me with that. So I have to get the opportunity and time to actually work on the website. But I dropped. Only thing the person can do right now is download the flyer and print it out yourself. The request part of things, that system went down. I think it came back up again, but I'm gonna check. But it went down for requests, and I haven't been getting any requests for flyers and things like that. But I can tell you guys, based on funding and stuff like that for me right now, so I get past this campaign part of thing for this primary. And hopefully I can start really fundraising again. I have been very slow on being able to produce more flyers. And so even if the request part of things on the website is up, it'll be slow with me getting flyers out because I have to, pretty much pay out of pocket really to produce those flyers and then send them out. So right now it's kind of moving kind of slow until I can get everything organized, or I can get volunteers. I've been working on that too, you guys. People who want to be part of the Daniel Robinson Foundation. I put that out before. People want to help me with Daniel's stuff. Even those who right here in South Carolina want to help me with my campaign. We'll see what happens after the 23rd, but I really need help in all those directions. So, but I'm keeping it going. That's why I say, you guys, if you say, well, how are you doing all these things at one time? Because one thing God told me, and I had a campaign manager who quit on me. And when my campaign manager quit on me, I'm using that about my campaign. A lot of things hurt me because I can't get people to really move, or certain little things that I'm really trying to build or help out. And I put a lot of myself into. God came to me. I don't know how spiritual you guys are, because I'm very spiritual and I believe in God. And said, you know what? I'm a majority by myself. And so that's always comforts me and I have my son. I think about him. He's a majority by himself, meaning that all these things happen and it works out some kind of way because I'm a majority by myself. People can do what they want to do. They can go all over the place and and do all these things. And it's funny because when I start looking at primary night and I have 41% of the vote, and I look at the whole entire campaign to get that 41% of the vote, with mostly the little help that we did. We got people in my campaign that actually did work, and I want to thank them for donating and things like that. But what I'm saying, a little help to nothing in a sense, and we still got 41% of the vote because God is a majority by himself. That's what I'm saying. When I start seeing those kind of things happen, I'll say, yes, God has my back one way or the other. And so I look at it that way, and I just keep going forward. So that's how those things get done. Um, I look at even the things that come out. I will talk about my son. Out of tragedy come out some great things as well. So I really thank God for keeping me sane, keeping me in the fight for my son, keep me advocating, being a national advocate, whatever the case may be. I'm really grateful for everything at this point that where I'm at right now in life. I'm really grateful because it could have been worse. Things could have been a whole lot worse. And I thank you so much for your prayer, Jazzy. Like again, it's all good praying. Thanks so much. One question I have here, Duckin. Thanks so much for being here. And also, Geo Chad said, "Okay, Chad, I know you. I know you and your sister. I think you're the same Chad. You geologist, Chad. I'm gonna put it just that way." And yeah, thank you so much for being out there with me too. Has Ken said anything else in the last few years? Not that I know of. He didn't say anything to me. He hasn't said anything to law enforcement. I haven't heard anything about him. Last I heard from Ken was when he was doing interviews. One time ago, you'll never hear me say the word his name and his last name, but he put himself out there, so I can freely say his name now. But I haven't heard anything from him other than things he said on. I forgot what show that was. He was on when Daniel's mother and his brother was on. I think it's called Disappeared. And he said something on that show last time I heard from him. Thanks so much, Miss Hatcher. Thanks so much. I said, oh dear Lord, I was hoping that Daniel had been brought home. Always pray that he will be. And I pray that he will be, and I have faith on that one too, because I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that happens without giving up. Thanks so much for your prayers. I truly appreciate you. And say praying for your son to come home. Thanks so much. Also, thanks so much, Mint Pasty. Thanks so much for being here as well. Isn't there any kind of petition to be made and force that police department, I guess, to lead the case over to another, so we can look into the phone, etc. and all. I have done that with Sheriff and Zone. He's people understand this. Sheriff Department supersedes everybody, right, in that county. And Maricopa County, my son, the Sonoran Desert, right here, where my son was missing, is in Maricopa County. So the argument I had for a couple of years, that's why I was, like I said, had meetings with Sheriff and Zone, and he gave me the rosary and all that stuff, right? And the promises was that he was trying to do, because I was doing that in correlation with the Tempe Police Department, and like I said, with the Sheriff Department at the time. And we was working the meetings out through the mayor and all the stuff. I mean, it was a lot. We was doing to try to find ways to get my son's case moved over to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, where I felt more comfortable. And there's a lot of reasons why. The clothing, for instance, Maricopa County at the time received new funding. They got a new DNA testing center. It's called a Rapid DNA Testing Center. Then Chief Glover for the Tempe Police Department recommended that. Like I say, he's with the DPS now, Department of Public Safety. And he told me when he got over there, they have a backlog in the Department of Public Safety. It'd be better to go with Maricopa County anyway, because Daniel, he didn't say it this particular, you need to go there. But what I'm saying, Daniel went missing in Maricopa County. Buckeye Police Department wasn't doing their job. I needed his case to go into the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office because they have more manpower to handle a case like Daniel's and things like that. but there was a lot of resistance. I mean, I went through hell and it never happened, and it still didn't happen to this day, because the argument is to me is that stop saying he went missing in Buckeye. They say he went missing in Maricopa County. So that way, and then the other part is to the twist of this. The vehicle, we had an argument with the FBI. When I say the FBI, with the government, I would say like with the federal government, because this vehicle scene right here, this crime scene, also where we found the human skull near this crime scene, and all the other human remains in this area, was near public government property, right? Federal government property, BLM lands, Bureau of Land Management. And so the argument always been that this vehicle is actually on federal lands, or you could take, that's the right direction. You take a few 100 feet, I guess, going west, this way west, and you're still gonna be on federal land because it's right there, right? And so the argument to me was, even if y'all try to argue that it wasn't technically on federal land, probably about you can take paces and actually be on federal land, that don't mean the vehicle didn't come across federal land. So it includes that was, I had all kind of angles I was hitting to try to get the FBI into my son's case, but also to get it moved over to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, who have better equipment, better everything, and the Buckeye Police Department resisted on getting help because, like I said again, we have other evidence that I had never been able to show publicly because there was circumstantial evidence. I mean to say that this is all could be, and I'm put it that way, an elaborate cover up. So those type things, and it's ironic that Chief Hall quit, or I guess to get his pension at one I think it was in like November, then right in January, Sheriff Zone resigned. His commission, when I say commission, he's an elected official. And so all that was happening right there in that one space of time, a month apart. And so it is a lot. I don't want to get so deep into it because I have so much stuff I collected over the years. But those things going to come really important one day. But yes, but to say this right here, petition-wise, I did not just a petition. I was able to get Sheriff Zone to do something at the time, meant pasty when I threatened them with the protest. Excuse me. I had a sit-in scheduled for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and then I had a direct protest at the Buckeye Police Department. And when that was happening, we're getting close to the date. That's when Sheriff Zone asked me to put it on pause. We had a meeting, and he agreed to a lot. And the one thing he didn't do is get Daniel's case moved over to his department. So that was the issue. And then, like I said, he got out of there, and where we're at right now. All right, everybody. I think that's it. But I want to say thank you, everybody who joined in with me and hung in there with me. I know it's been an hour. Every time y'all knows I talk too long, my voice starts going away. But I want to say thank you. I want to have a voice for tomorrow. Have a voice for tomorrow for this debate. But again, I'm going to put a flyer out. Like I said, I do everything. So I had to design a flyer that would give you all the time, date. So when you see the flyer, it's going to be a combination of my son's. What I'm trying to do is say something, kind of make it in a way to kind of tell the story. This whole congressional run started from this before this vehicle fell into this crime scene here. And when my son went missing, right, I doubt in a million years, I doubted that I would have been in this position right now, running for U.S. Congress, if my son didn't go missing. You get what I'm saying? So all of that is inclusive to everything I have been doing from day one, and the heartaches and the pains and the no rest. And so that's why I said June 23rd is going to mean a whole lot to me. And I know my competitor, he's out there right now, unescaped by that kind of reality, where, like I said, this politics thing is not really and I don't think he mean it in a nefarious way. So I'm going to say it this way. I doubt it, because he's a very nice person, very nice person. I can tell. What I'm saying is, a person can go unscathed, don't know exactly what a person had to go through to get where they're at. In other words, not saying that he should feel like I'm a better candidate to take us to, he shouldn't have to feel that way. But what I'm saying is, you have to really understand where I'm coming from. Because I remember when the candidates first came up to run against me, I call it against me because I already ran in 2024. I said to myself, why are they really running? We have one, his name Daniel Sharif. His name just come up on, it was in 2024 too. He's not, I don't know if he's even a real person. He don't show up nowhere. You don't see him nowhere. I see a picture show up and this person paid, and you had to pay $3,480 just to even put your name on the ballot. And so maybe you got money to throw away like that. And then when the other two showed up, I often, when I had to go to these forums, and I look at them, and I don't know people's lies and why, but you have to ask a question like, what you running for? What is your real reason? What motivated you to really go? And we all have motivation. Say, I don't like what they're doing. Like I did. Like I said, it didn't make me move. I didn't like nothing that the politicians were doing, even in my party. I didn't like a lot of stuff I saw happening. But what I'm saying is, what make you get up and say, I'm going to finally go do something? I mean, what is your story? What is your why? And this became my why. With all of this, everything I've been through in that desert, fighting law enforcement, standing up to law enforcement, standing up telecommunication, writing laws. I got 3 more that I'm working on right now. Writing things, doing stuff, really working in the community, going to advocate for human trafficking, serving the community, doing stuff, working with the Red Cross, all the stuff that gear me up to where I'm at right now, running for U.S. Congress. Then you look at them and say, what are you really running for? What is your real purpose of actually saying I'm putting my head in the ring? So that's why I say I'm not here. I'm a retired military guy, combat engineer, disabled veteran, and I'm running for U.S. Congress. I'm not building a new career for myself or making myself look good, some portfolio and being a career politician and all that. I'm not into all of that. I'm here to have the solution to this missing American crisis, and also have a solution to the everyday life. Because in my district, my mother still lives in this district. My mother and my family, we are on the thumbs of politicians who've been in office for 20 and so years. And it's the same thing. And like I say again, what makes you finally get out your seat and say, I'm going to do something about this? I want to know your motivating factor. That's what I'm trying to say. What really make you do that? Because a lot of people are motivated for different reasons, and it might take some a little less than others. So that's what I'm saying. I don't judge and say what people are doing for. I'm just kind of curious of why. What is your real why? What motivated you to say, hey, I'm going to serve people? Because it's not an easy job, because people got to understand, when you're running for U.S. Congress, it's never going to be about you. The seat don't belong to you. I mean, all of that stuff. Everybody, you got to listen to everybody. You know what I'm saying? You can't just say, I'm going to pick and choose who I'm going to listen to, my constituents. I got to have town halls. I got to listen to everybody. I got to listen to people yell at me. I got to, all that kind of stuff. And then you work to make somebody else's life better. That's what I'm saying. So the whole point is, and exactly what I've been doing for almost 5 years now. So again, that's it. I've talked too much, and I'm going to keep going. All right. Love y'all. Talk to you later. Y'all have a wonderful night. The rest of your weekend. Hope you have a good weekday. Pray for me on my my debate. I had one before, but this one's gonna be a little different. And so take care of y'all. Y'all take care of yourselves, and to stay blessed. And we'll talk soon.
At the break of dawn, in the middle of the Arizona desert, a crowd of strangers meet for one purpose.
You guys coming out here to help me out, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
To help another stranger, a father desperately searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson.
Since he was a child, he liked to challenge everything.
He was born with a challenge.
And I wanted to introduce him to prosthetics because he's born with one hand. We quickly learned that that's something that Daniel didn't want. He let nothing stop him. He decided to be a geologist once he got into freshman year in college. He excelled that. He graduated with honors.
Daniel's first job is checking the viability of water wells in the Arizona desert.
He loved this area, of course, because of the rock form. You're a geologist, this is the best place to be.
But the terrain became a hellscape for his dad when Daniel went missing back in June from his job site. And what number search is this?
This is search number 14.
Navigating the dangers in the desert, the Army veteran knows firsthand time is of the essence.
When I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me that I had to wait actually 3 hours because they had a 12-hour, report time when you can say a person is missing. Then I called them back and put in a missing person report. I got very worried. That's when I got very worried. I asked the Buckeye Police Department to go out and search that area. The officer told me that they were going to send a vehicle out there, a helicopter out to search for him. I was relieved. And then he called back an hour later and said, no, it was a no-go. I'm his dad, and he's my son. I lost all sense of reality. At that moment, I said, you know what? They're not going to look for my son. I'm going to have to do it myself.
Before he arrived, police did decide to search on foot and with helicopters. This is the last place your son was seen?
The last place.
What do you think happened, David?
I think a lot happened here. I'm very suspicious.
But he doesn't know what. A month in, there's a break in the case, and police call Robinson.
I got afraid, actually, that it's going to be some bad news. He said, no, we just found his vehicle.
Some ranchers found it, and then at that point, we conducted our investigation and additional searches.
What was the condition of the car? If it had rolled over, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the car was on its side. The sunroof was kicked out at that point, so he might have exited through the sunroof.
His wrecked car in a ravine, both airbags deployed, Daniel's cell phone, clothes he was wearing that day, and a case of water all found at the crash site. But not Daniel. People don't just disappear into thin air.
True.
Does that sort of feel like what's happened to here?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very challenging case.
No matter how much the family asks for this to be a criminal investigation, can you make that happen?
We can't make up evidence. Absolutely suspicious circumstances related to the case.
Frustrated and heartbroken, Robinson hired a private investigator. Where are we going?
Down here is where the vehicle was recovered from.
Is that the glass from the car?
Yes.
When you looked at this accident, what are the discrepancies that you noticed right away?
I believe it was in more than one collision.
What does the data from the black box of the car tell you?
That there was 11 additional miles on the vehicle since the airbags came out.
What does that tell you?
That tells me it was crashed somewhere else.
Does that sound suspicious? What explains that?
Well, we had the national expert that came in and provided us his findings, and then they ended up speaking to an expert at Jeep, and the expert says, yes, sometimes that happens, and it's not unusual.
But the data also shows someone tried to start the car 46 times after the crash.
That's something we can't explain.
It begs the question, again, the family is saying it's criminal. It's got to be a reason danger. Do something.
Right. No, I agree. But we need information. We need evidence.
He's got a lot of theories. His words, I think, were, I don't think they cared. What do you say to that?
Couldn't be furthest from the truth.
Losing hope, Robinson began pleading for media coverage.
It literally took 3 months.
While Robinson searched for his son, the country became riveted by media coverage of another missing persons case, the case of Gabby Petito.
In my situation, people think I love our children less or something, or they're less important.
In 2020, more than 543,000 missing persons records were filed. More than 480,000 were cleared. And 40% of the missing are people of color.
There are a lot of Gabby Petitos and Natalie Holloways in the Black and brown community.
That's why former police officer Derica Wilson co-founded Black and Missing Inc. and says too often their cases go untold. Eventually, local stations did stories and citizens began helping search. Did you know Daniel?
No, I just wanted to help.
You're just helping out a stranger on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Why?
You know what? I can't imagine what that man's going through.
As the search for Daniel goes into its 5th month, another family is in the midst of a terrible mystery for a 5th year. The family of Nikki and Ariana Fitz.
Ariana is very energetic, very happy.
2-year-old Ariana went missing under the most suspicious of circumstances in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2016. Her mother, Nikki Fitz, was found in a shallow grave in San Francisco's McLaren Park, but Ariana was gone.
It breaks my heart that Ariana's not with her mom and Ariana's not with her family, but it also breaks my heart even more is that I know that Nikki wants nothing more than Ariana to be with us, to be home.
Tessa Fitz says she is convinced her niece Ariana was taken by people close to Ariana's mother. San Francisco police searched for weeks. They had some leads, but no arrests. A digitally altered photo was made of what she may look like now.
And she's 8 now. I don't want to see this in a picture. I want to see her face in person.
Should Ariana Fitz be a household name like JonBenet Ramsey?
Absolutely. Why is her case any different from Kaylee Anthony? I can tell you, the color of their skin is the only difference.
For 5 desperate years, the family has continued searching using flyers, social media, and Black and Missing Inc.
Do you think it has anything to do with color?
I try not to put myself in the mindset of the race issue with her media coverage. All I want is for there to be the media coverage for her. I think she deserves that.
The Fitz and the Robinsons want only one thing, with hugging their missing children once again.
Do you think that Ariana is still alive?
I do believe that Ariana is still alive, and it would mean everything to me to know where she is and to find her. I wait for that day every single day. I believe that day will come.
How long will you search?
Till I find my son. I have to. I mean, he's my responsibility.
Sarah Seidner, CNN, Buckeye, Arizona.